Friends, welcome back. I am Jason, and a machete is one of my favorite tools. I enjoy using them quite a bit. I hate weed eating on the property here. I don't even own a weed eater. So if I can't get it done with the bush hog, a push mower, or a machete, I'm not interested. However, using a tool like this comes with certain concerns. You can easily hack a limb off with a machete if you're not careful, and you can cut yourself really badly if you're not careful. But there's just some simple guidelines that we can follow, and it'll help keep us safe. For example, if I want to cut this branch right here, come on over. I've got my camera woman on the job right now. There she is. She works for food, so it works out okay. Anyway, if I was to come here and want to cut this branch, which I do, I'm actually trimming this bush up here and trying to get rid of some of the briars and stuff, the roses that are growing up in here and making a mess of things and catching my arm when I drive by on the tractor. It's really irritating. So I'm going to trim this thing up a little bit. One of the rules that you never really want to break is never cut towards your hand like this. So like, let's say I needed to bend this branch down like this and get it down here out of the way so I can cut it. I would never want to slice this direction towards my hand, because very easily the machetes glance off like that and go in a direction that you don't want them to go if your hand is there. So I would never ever cut towards my hand like this. And just generally speaking, I don't want to touch the thing that I'm chopping at all. I want to keep my hands away from that thing so I don't end up losing a finger or worse. So if I was going to chop this thing right here, I would stand back. I'd keep my free hand out of the way as much as I possibly can, and I would just do simple chops like that right there until I am through. If you swing hard enough, you can get through it in one single slice. But then again, if the harder you swing, the more likely you are to go all the way through that material and potentially come back and hit yourself in the leg. A lot of machete injuries are to the hands like this because you're holding on to what you're chopping, or they're to the lower limbs, like to the knees, to the shins, and to the feet. Now, I'm wearing my safety sandals here because I'm looking forward to all of the hate that I receive in the comment section on a safety video. It feeds the algorithms. The sharpness of the tool is really important too. This machete is really sharp. Now, they say a dull tool is a dangerous tool. Yes, I would have to agree with that, because you have to put more force behind it to get it to do what you want it to do. And that can lead to some really serious injuries. Now, a really sharp tool like this one right here that's razor sharp is more likely to cut me, like to give me nicks and stuff like that if I accidentally touch the blade with my fingers or something, or if I just choke up on it a little bit too far, it might nick my finger. It's more likely to cut me. But like I said, the more serious injuries are more likely to occur with a dull tool, because I'm really having to hack and work hard and push hard to get it to do what I want it to do. So maintaining your tool and keeping it good and sharp, I think, is always going to be a good bet. It's just going to make your life easier and make you become less fatigued because you're not working so hard. And the injuries come when you get tired. A lot of times when I've hurt myself, a lot of times it's because I've been working hard and I'm just working to the point of exhaustion, and then I get sloppy, I get lazy and get complacent, and that's when you can really get hurt. These strokes that I'm doing with my machete are just short little chops. And that's one of the reasons why I like to choke up on machete and put the paracord there, is because I can do more refined, small little chops, right? If I really need to get some work done and I'm chopping through something bigger, I can go way back onto the handle right there and I can get some work done, and I can chop all the way through whatever it is that I need to chop through. But again, I've got very controlled swings, and I'm not over swinging the thing and following through to the point where I might cut myself. Got to be careful. Always anticipate that. So if I'm chopping through this, even though I'm probably not going to get through it in one swing, always anticipate it going through the material and coming back towards you. So you can stop the swing, just a flick of the machete like that, and that's why that big pommel on there is always good. Always look for a chopping tool with something chunky on the end that'll stop your hand from moving on, and I can relax my grip, and I can stop that swing before it comes through and whacks me in my kneecap. Yowza, that would hurt. Now, it's tempting to put gloves on when you're working with giant big thorns like this. And sometimes, if that's all I'm doing, if I'm hacking through a lot of briars and stuff, I'll put gloves on occasionally, because these thorns, these rose bushes here, can really tear you up if you're not careful with it. And when you're grabbing and pulling and trying to get this stuff untangled out of here like this, it can definitely catch your arm and you'll be bleeding pretty bad before you know it. Not from the machete, but from all the thorns. So it's tempting to wear gloves. However, in my experience, a glove makes my hand fatigue much faster. It requires me to squeeze the tool, to hold on to it a little bit more, and makes my hand get tired, which can in turn make it a little bit more dangerous of a situation. So I don't like to wear gloves unless I need them. If I know I'm going to be reaching in here and grabbing these briars out here, yeah, I might put gloves on. I might put gloves on just one hand, that grabbing hand. I'll chop with this one and I'll grab with the gloved hand. And that generally speaking works pretty good. But most of the time I just don't wear gloves because I'm always switching hands. When this hand gets tired, I switch to this one, but I'm a little bit ambidextrous. I'm a left-handed guy, and it's pretty easy for me to switch left and right hand. If you're working with hand tools, it's not gonna be as fast as, your chainsaws. Well, you definitely need to be careful and take your time with a chainsaw too, but it's not gonna be as fast and as expedient. So just take your time and work methodically, right? Don't need to rush it. Clear out some of the stuff that's in your way first. Get that out of my way, and then get in there and finish up your work. And again, keeping all appendages out of the way. I wouldn't want to put my leg like this if I'm chopping in this direction right here, because once it goes through, I might come through all the way and whack myself in the shin. So just being cautious, taking my time. And not hurting myself. And we've got to be careful to watch out for other people too. Like my camera woman here, holding the camera here. I know she's standing there, so I wouldn't want to be chopping like this towards her in any shape or form. I know that anything here, or even further, because if this should slip out of my hand, right, and go flying through the air, I could potentially hurt somebody. So I want to make sure that I've got my space. If anybody comes near me, right, I know to stop swinging this thing around. I always recommend carrying in a sheath of some sort so you protect the edge from getting damaged when transporting or cutting yourself while you're transporting it around. But when you're using the machete, carrying the blade as you're moving around, you need to be cautious with it, especially if you're working outside in uneven, slippery terrain, because if you slip and fall, you don't want to land on this thing. You don't want to dig it into your leg or something like that, or even worse, fall on the blade. So carrying the machete, I typically carry it in just a couple different ways. Kind of cradle it, so I hold the pommel of the handle like this, and then I just rest it across my arm. So as I'm walking along, and I'm moving stuff out of my way, moving debris and vegetation, I'm getting this crap out of my way. If I should slip and fall, what happens is I slip, I fall, and maybe I have to catch myself with my hand. It does that. It kind of it launches the machete away from me, and I don't land on the thing. The other way that I would carry the machete is just down low like this, with the blade facing away from me. So I would walk along with the edge away from me, just like that right there, and kind of just a loose grip, right? I'll also carry it in this fashion right here if I'm working, moving stuff out of my way. Again, blade away from me, just kind of a little pinch right there up on the paracord wrapping. So I'm moving stuff out of my way. That blade's not going to cut me. I can still use my fingers. I can grab stuff if I need to and not be at as much of a risk for cutting myself. Now, when you're chopping close to the ground like this, it's tempting to get down on one knee and then slice in this direction right here. But again, I'm cutting towards my foot, right? I'm cutting towards my shin. And I don't care if you're wearing leather boots. A really sharp machete like that will cut through that leather boot. So you got to be careful. So you either need to keep your base smaller like that as you're chopping down close to the ground, or you need to go down on both knees like this. Or if you have a longer blade, this is a shorty. If you have a longer blade, you can still stand up and get those chops done. Guys, I appreciate you watching my videos. I'm always grateful for it. If you learned something, let me know what you learned in the comment section. If you've got some extra tips for us, leave that in the comment section. I'd be grateful for that. Links to all the things in the comment section and in the description of this video, to my website and all of that. And until next time, friends, what's the worst that could happen? Let's just go on 3.